Hello and welcome back to the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petron. My name is Aaron Thompson. We're going to get you to all of the action in race 12, the final race of the weekend. But before then, let's have a quick chat with Peter Thompson and Alex Young.
Alex, we've had a great 1, 2, 3 races.
Yeah.
Really good competition now. It's big improvement in last year. But now we're talking about race 4. Race 4 is about to happen in a half an hour. What's your predictions?
Well, I mean, we saw the first couple of races, especially like the first two. So great action, a few drivers making mistakes. But now we're getting to the last race of the season. Everyone's really dialed in nicely. So
There's been a lot of off-track excursions, but I think it's less and less and less.
Absolutely. So I expect to see some very disciplined driving for race 4. Maybe not as much on-track action, but still good racing nonetheless.
Okay, great. Looking forward to race 4 then.
Thank you very much, Peter and Alex. Now up to race control to watch the start of the race. As you can see, everybody taking their position on the grid. On the left-hand side of your screens, you can see the green flag marshal. As he runs across the track, the red lights will go on, and as they extinguish, we'll be underway. But before then, a quick run down the starting order. We got Luke Allen on pole position, just ahead of Elias Sapanin and Josh Smith. Of course, Shihab Al-Habsi and Moise Mushafra rounding out the top 5 before Alistair Young, Malte Jacobson, Fulke Wongse Charan, Yash Ardi and Sneha Sharma round out the grid. As you can see, we're underway though, and it looks to me as if Malte Jacobson, the red number 8 car, got a fantastic start, but up at the front, Luke Allen is defending his position as the pink number 22 of Alistair Young cuts across the track trying to defend and trying, of course, also find a way past the man in front from Luke Allen, though, at the moment at the front of the pack ahead of the rookie Elias Sapanin and Josh Smith as well in the red number 5 car. Looks like Alistair Young having a fantastic start to the session all over the back of Shihab Al-Habsi and seems to get past him at turn 2. But this corner here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most interesting corner perhaps in our calendar. Turn 3 here at the Buriram United International Circuit is a fantastic thing to behold, and it always upsets the races, but that's exactly what we want to watch because it gives us some very interesting action indeed. But at the moment, Luke Allen still at the front of the pack ahead of Elias Sapanin and Josh Smith. Let's have a look further down the order though, because I've seen Alistair Young pass Shihab Al-Habsi, although he seems to have reversed at turn 3. So there we go, turn 3 already playing its hand as Luke Allen now brings us down into turn 5. And around turn 6 as well, then the right-handed turn 7 and turn 8 before we go down into turn 9, switch back onto a left-handed corner with turn 10, and then switch back again once more onto turn 11. Fantastic sequence of corner that 9, 10, 11. I think we saw an overtake earlier on here with Josh Smith through that sequence of corners. Fantastic thing to watch indeed. But at the moment, Luke Allen leading the pack around in his blue number 3 car. This is corner 9 now. You can see corner 10 as well as they crest the Remmel strip there. Corner 11 is up next with the Luke Allen hitting it at the moment. And you can see there the blue car leading us down the back straight, such as it is into turn 12. Fantastically fast track this circuit is here at the Buriram United International Circuit, the home of motorsport in Thailand. Now, of course, this is an FIA Grade 1 circuit. Hasn't hosted an F1 event just yet, but I think it's probably on the cards for the future as Elias Sapanin seems to close in on the man in front of him, Luke Allen, as we cross the start-finish straight. Let's have a look at the gap. 0.6 of a second separate the leader from second position, and then it's another 1.5 seconds back, but not sure that can be quite right, or maybe it is indeed a gap of 1.5 seconds from Elias Sapanin to Josh Smith, because Shihab Al-Habsi and Alistair Young are all over the back of the Australian Ray Smith as we come through turn 3. Let's see if there can be any action here. Not quite, nobody close enough to make a move, at least not at the front or the back. Let's have a look further down. There seem to be some cars coming side by side just on the left hand side of your screen. Yes indeed there is. Looks like Alistair Young went all the way around the outside at turn 3 and is now side by side with Shihab Al-Habsi coming down in turn 4. This is exactly the way you want to be, if at least this is exactly the Malaysian wants to be on the inside line at turn 4. He pushes off Shihab Al-Habsi all the way onto the outside. Looks like Shihab had to run off the track, but he's trying to maintain his position. He's going to cut back up the inside of the Malaysian now. No, he's going to stay where he is, because if he gets the slipstream, he can dive up the inside at turn 7 or even turn 8, and looks like that's exactly what he's going to try and do. Alistair runs him off to the inside of the track. Shihab cuts back to the outside line and loses a little bit of time as to come around down into turn 9 or turn 8 now. This is turn 9 as I mistakenly made a comment about a moment ago, but Alistair Young manages to hold off Shihab Al-Habsi through that sequence of corners, says thank you very much, and now he's up into 4th position. Fantastic driving from the Malaysian here at the Buriram United International Circuit for race 12 of 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, but he's not out of trouble yet, because Shihab Al-Habsi in the red number 34 all over the pink number 22 of Malaysia's Moise Mushafra, and close enough to make a move as they come across the start-finish straight. You can see Shihab is getting the slipstream advantage, and just behind him, the number 8 car of Malte Jacobsen and the number 13 car of Yash Ardia also in the mix. And I'm sure going to throw themselves into the battle ahead of them in just a moment. As we come around turn 1, though, Shihab Al-Habsi just a little bit too far back to make a move, and now so young. But turn 3, this is where everything happens here at the Buriram circuit. You can see Shihab having a look up the inside, Yash having a look up the outside. We're too wide at 2 different sectors. Looks like Shihab's going to get the better line coming through, but it's an off-camber corner, so Al Young may just prevail. He gets a lot of speed coming out of there. Is he going to touch off the back crash box of Shihab Al-Habsi? No, he doesn't. He manages to get back on track, duck in behind the Omani, and get that slipstream coming down into turn 4. Here we are at turn 4, though, with Josh Smith in the P3, just ahead of the battle for P4. It looks like there's been a lot of damage to Alistair Young's car. His front plane on the right-hand side is bent up at an extremely unfortunate angle for the Malaysian driver. That's going to cause him dearly, especially here at the high-speed downforce required corners, the Buriram United International Circuit. But for the moment, at least, he's hanging in there in P5, just ahead of Malte Jacobsen. But Malte going to have a look now up the inside, perhaps no too far back. That may be a defensive measure from Yash Ardia, who is all over the back of the Danish driver. As we come around turn 9 now, Shihab Al-Habsi still in P4, just behind Josh Smith, who is equally behind Elias Sapanen and Luke Allen. You have to pay some love to the man at the front of the grid. Luke Allen leading from the first. Fantastic drive for him so far, but all the action at the moment in the battle for P4 and P5. Or P6, I should say, because of course Alice Young in P5 at the moment, challenging for P4 with Shihab Al-Habsi, but you can see already the gap between the 2 drivers in question is widening, and P6 Malte Jacobsen closing into the pink number 22 of Malaysia's Alistair Young, because of course of the damage due to his car. But we have seen another Malaysian hold on to position here for several laps. Of course, Nazim Azman back in 2017 or even 2018, if I'm not mistaken, managed to hold on here for several laps with even less of a front wing than his compatriot has at the moment. But the battle now seems to have switched into P6 mode, because Yash Ardia on the outside line now here at turn 3. There's a little bit of a maneuver on the entrance to the corner, and looks like Malte Jacobsen's going to get the better line and pushes him outside. But Yash Ardia carries more speed through the corner, as now slightly ahead of the Danish driver as they come down the straight into turn 4. But I wonder what that will happen as they crest the corner. Of course, Yash has the better line, but he's got to make a tighter turn because of that. And no, indeed, he manages to close the door on the Danish driver as they come down into turn 5 now with an orange car, number 13. In fact, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, that is, in fact, Moise Mashaffer in the orange, number 13. I had mistaken for Yash Ardia in the orange, number 17. As we come down through turn 6, turn 7 at the moment, you can see the gap now between Shihab and Alistair is about a second already, and you can see, of course, the effect that significant damage to his front wing is having on his race as they come around turn 9 down into turn 10. Malte Jacobsen all over the back of the orange number 13 car of Moise Mashaffer, but Moise is starting to close in on the man in front of him as well, and his hope is going to be get to leapfrog himself into 5th position and start chasing down the Omani flyer Shihab Al-Habsi. Let's have a look towards the front of the grid, though, at least a look at the lap times. We got Luke Allen in the blue number 3 car at the front of the grid, leading from the first lap, leading Elias Sapanen by 1.3 seconds, just ahead of Josh Smith. The 3 separated by a good fair amount as we cross the halfway mark here with 12 minutes left on the board. Not quite halfway, a little bit under halfway, but we at this point we expect another 6 laps, maybe 5 laps, and you can see here what's gone on since the beginning of the race. We got Alistair Young moving up 1 position, Moise Mashaffer moving down in position, and further down the grid, Yash Ardia and Folke Wongchacharan following a similar pattern as we saw in the battle for P5. But now we know something that timing screens don't. Alistair Young has some damage to his front main plane on the right-hand side. It's bent up at an extremely awkward angle, and that's going to mean, or that has already meant, that he's lost a lot of time, especially to the man in front of him, Shihab Al-Habsi, but more importantly, to the man behind him, Moise Mashaffer. These 2 young drivers are compatriots, they are teammates, they are even friends off track. But on track, it's just about racing. It's just about who gets the start-finish straight faster than the man in front of him. The man or woman, I should say, is of course Sneha Sharma leading us around the leading lady category at the moment in the purple number 9 car. As we come through turn, what would seem to be turn 8, down into turn 9 now with Josh Smith and the man behind him, Shihab Al-Habsi. Shihab definitely closing in on the battle for 3rd position, but you can see behind is where the action still is. The battle for P5 now between Alistair Young and Moise Mashaffer. These 2 young Malaysians fighting to outdo each other all season so far, and at the moment Maurice Mushaffer definitely has the advantage. You can see actually the right-hand side front end plate of Alistair Young's car is also now facing onwards. That's going to be providing an even greater. It's almost acting like an air brake at the moment. As you can see, Shihab Al-Habsi really closing into the man in front of him, Josh Smith. The gap as they cross the start-finish straight is 0.2 of a second, and you can see that reflected because Shihab Al-Habsi now coming alongside the Australian Ray Smith as they come through corner 2 of the circuit. Further down the order, we have Maurice Mushaffer doing the same thing on Alistair Young. Can they dive into turn 3? Can we see something happen here? Shihab definitely has the better line, but Josh Smith could cut back along the inside. No, Shihab prevents him from doing so, driving fantastically through that sequence of corners. I'm sure he's studied the videos, the same videos I've seen from last year, where we saw some young drivers cutting back in on the opponent who had just overtaken them. But now we have a red number 34 car in third position rather than a red number 5. The Australian and the Omani flyer changing position as they come down into turn 4 now. Can Josh try and make a move to take it back? He was up on the podium in third position. Now he's down in P4. He's not quite close enough to make anything happen through this section of corners, but we know Josh is fantastically fast here at the Buriram United International Circuit, and he may just make something happen yet. While further down the order, it seems like the two Malaysians have switched things up. An orange number 13 car now in P5. Maurice Mushaffer, of course, finding a way past his injured teammate Alistair Young in the pink number 22 car. Alistair still hanging on for dear life though. He's down in 6th at the moment, and he's got Malte Jacobson in 7th just behind him. He's got to hold off the Dane for another 3 laps, another 4 laps maybe. But back to the battle for third position. We've got Shihab Al-Habsi in the red number 34 on the front of your screens, just ahead of Josh Smith, the Australian Ray Smith, in the red number 5. These two cars separated by only a hair's breadth as they come across the start-finish straight for what would be the... Excuse me, I don't have that information actually on screen, so let's not worry about that. Let's have a look at the countdown. We've got another 9 minutes and 18 seconds left on the board, which indicates another 4 laps or so to go. And Shihab Al-Habsi definitely pulling away from the man behind him, the red number 5 car belonging to the Australian Ray Smith. Hasn't had the best weekend yet. Josh hasn't, and that's unfortunate for him, but it's been a fantastic weekend to watch, really, with a lot of action going on. Not least of all the battle between the two Malaysians for P5, the battle that is now switched to Alistair Young and Malte Jacobson fighting for P6 as Maurice Mushaffer starts to try to wheel in the man in front of him, Josh Smith. We have seen Maurice just wake up in the closing stages of the race, so with 8 minutes left to go on the board, that's more than enough time for the Malaysian to try and close in on P4 and maybe even do something unbelievable. And if somebody was to do it, it would be Maurice Mushaffer as we come across turn 5 into turn 6, switching back to a right-handed section now at turn 7, down into turn 8. Let's have a look at the times on the screen. You can see that there's not much separating between between Alistair Young and Malte Jacobson. Malte looking right, looking left, deciding against it, holding on behind the Malaysian, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Alistair driving as well as he can, but especially here at the Buriram United International Circuit, where every corner is basically flat and you need a lot of downforce to keep your car in position. He's suffering dearly with that damage to his wing. He's going to go up the inside as Malte Jacobson goes around the outside. Alistair closing him off, pushing him to the outside of the track now, and Malte just still holding on in there behind Alistair Young, and Alistair has knocked away another lap. You can see the team there all supporting their drivers. They come down into turn 1 now. Malte Jacobson so close to the man in front of him, the pink number 22 of Alistair Young, as of course Malte Jacobson, the red number 8, I should say, just behind him. This is the battle between Malaysia and Denmark, the battle for 6th position that has been raging all the race so far. Let's see if Malte can make a move up the inside or even around the outside here at turn 3. Is he close enough to make something happen? No, not quite. Looks like he lost some time coming through turn 1 or even down at turn 2. We see some very interesting things happen at turn 2 actually here at the Buriram United International Circuit. I think it creeps up on some of the drivers if you're not quite paying attention. And of course, with so much going on and you're having to focus on your rear view mirrors, sometimes something unexpected happens. As we come around turn 4 now with Alistair Young in the pink number 22 car, you can see the damage quite clearly to his wing even from this angle, but Malte Jacobson unfazed by that, not going to show any mercy. I'm sure he's going to find a way past the Malaysian as soon as he possibly can. Well, we return to the front of the grid now. We've got Luke Allen and Elias Lennon battling for position. The two drivers separated by 0.5 of a second. They've been separated by pretty much the same gap every lap of the race so far. They're just so equally matched. Neither can find a way past either can find a way to either pull ahead or close the gap. As down in P3 now, we've got Shihab Al-Habsi, who managed to fight his way up from 6th or 7th on the grid to oh no, something's gone terribly wrong. Something's gone terribly wrong for the red number 8 car. You can see the right rear ring, the right rear wheel, something's gone loose. You can see it's at a funny angle. This is terrible news for Denmark, ladies and gentlemen, as Malte Jacobsen limps into the pit lane, and that will be the end of the race for him. But that's fantastic news for Alex Young. That's the best thing he could have hoped for, because now he's got a bit of breathing room and he can hold on to his 6th position. And the gap from him to Yash Adir is significant, so he doesn't have to worry about that so much at the moment. Just gives him some time to breathe. And that's exactly what he needed. As we return to the front with the action now in the battle between 1st and 2nd position. Not so much an action, an overtaking action battle, but it's now being a battle fought on the timing streams. The two drivers lapping very consistently. Let's see if we can find out for you exactly what they've been doing. We've got Luca Allen currently doing a 2:14.756, while Elias Sapanen is doing a, let's have a quick look down the screens. We got a 2:14.500, so very equally matched indeed. And indeed, the speed time, or the average speed time, is quite similar as well. So you can see these two drivers are just very equally matched and haven't managed to find a way to either close the gap or escape from their attacker, and that's unfortunate for us, but it's just indicative of how equal the championship is. Of course, all these cars are the exact same cars. The Miguel FIA F4 race car, they've all got the exact same engine, same horsepower, the same fuel, and the Petron Blaze Racing engine oil that keeps everything running at tip-top condition, and the Petron Blaze 100 that keeps us all moving as well. As we come down into turn 12, you can see Elias braking a little bit later, trying to close the gap, but it's just not enough, because there's just too much time between the two. He can't get enough of an advantage from the slipstream to jump up in front of him. And indeed, here at the Birmingham United International Circuit, it's basically one gigantic high-speed corner. So you're going to have, the closer you get to the man in front of you, you're going to suffer the aero downwash, and that's going to really hurt you as well through these corners. Coming down into turn 2 now, though, a little bit of an interesting corner here. It's one of my favorite corners for sure. You've seen some very interesting things happen. It looks like a little bit of a kink in the road, and that's exactly what it is. But for some reason, it does create some very spectacular racing as an interlude to turn 3, where all the action happens. We've seen indeed Hugo de Waal back in 2017 managed to overtake from P3 and jump up into P1 on the last lap twice at this corner. Fantastic racing from him. As we have 3 minutes 38 seconds left on the board, there's not a lot of time for young Elias to try and make a move. He's just a little bit too far back. Really, you need to be within about 0.4 of a second to make a move on the man in front of you, especially at a high-speed corner. Especially like a high-speed corner like Birmingham United International Circuit, where you have to be even closer if you want to stick it to the man in front of you. As we continue down, coming out of turn 8, now down into turn 9, bit of a hard braking corner here, so we may see something happen, but not quite. Elias just a little bit too far back, still on the Irishman. Indeed, that was corner 8, not corner 9 from that angle. I was a little bit mistaken. Up into corner 10 and 11. We haven't yet seen anything happen here, although I think we will later on in the season. Indeed, I hope we will, because it's been on my wish list since the beginning of the championship. Luke Allen in P1 from the beginning of the lap in his number 3, his lucky number 3 blue car. Of course, you may be forgiven for mistaking him for the blue number 3 of Kane Shepherd. Of course, the Thai national racing hero Kane Shepherd, who raced with us last year and the year before as well, to finish 2nd overall last year, and I believe 2nd or 3rd overall. He just finished 2nd overall in 2018. So fantastic drive for him. At the moment, he's gone down to university, if I'm not mistaken, but hopefully we'll see him return to the racing stage very soon, perhaps in F3 or a similar category. As we have a glance towards the mid-grid now, we've got Shihab Al-Habsi building a substantial lead for himself from Josh Smith. If you look at the timing screens, you can see they're separated by more than 0.2 of a second, while Louis Mshaffer has closed in, as we thought he might, on the man in front of him, the red number 5, the Australian Ray Smith. And with 2 minutes left on the board, that means we've got about 1 lap left, maybe 1 lap after this. So Louis Mshaffer, if you're listening there, mate, you got to put your foot down, because you don't have much time to get up into 4th. As we return to the front of the grid now with Luca Allen and Elias Sapanen, the two separated by mere 0.1 of a second as we come down into turn 5. and switch into turn 6 and then switch into turn, and come down into turn 5 and 6 and then switch into turn 7, where we switch back on ourselves, much like you do at Sepang International Circuit. Buriram also follows a similar idea. Of course, they share the same designer as well. Herman Tilke designed both of the the FIA Grade 1 circuits. Fantastic racing at both venues, and really a great place for drivers to start off their career. Of course, an FIA Grade 1 circuit, that's exactly where you want to learn how to get into Formula 1, and that's exactly what's on the mind of all of these young drivers, with Luke Allen in the blue number 3 car coming across turn 12, so for what would be presumably the second last time. Let's have a look and see if we can see the last lap board. I don't see it on display just yet, but as we cross the start-finish straight up, there we go, I've got it on my screens. We're on the final lap now. So Luke Allen and Elias Stepanen, this is your last chance to make something happen for your respective nations. And coming down into turn 1, we may soon see just that, but not quite yet, because Luke is just holding his own. He's driven fantastically all race, and Elias Stepanen just can't find a way to catch up to the man in front of him, staying within 0.5 of a second, but that's just not enough at the Buriram United International Circuit to make anything happen. And really, that's what you can't really blame them. They're driving their hearts out, and they're both equally matched. What more can you say, ladies and gentlemen, as we come through turn 3 for the last time of the weekend here at race 12 of the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship. Of course, Luke Allen all over the what can you say? Fantastic drive for him. You know, he's revving his heart out. He's keeping Elias Stepanen behind him the whole race. It's got to be a lot of pressure with the young Finn all over the back of you for what would seem to be an endless number of laps, I'm sure, from their point of view. Only 20 minutes, but when you're in these cars, I'm sure it's a lot longer than that, as they speed around the Buriram United International Circuit down through the final sector of track now. Just 2 corners left to go for the Irishman. Just 2 corners for him to hold on to, and then he can call it a day with a race win here in the final race of the 2019 Event 7 of the 2019 Championship, Event 7. So fantastic drive for him, and there you go. He's rounded turn 12, and once again, Luke Allen taking the checkered flag for Ireland. Fantastic drive for him, and a fantastic race to watch.
Race 4, I got pole in qualifying, so went off first allowance. That was a bit of an easier task than, well, what I thought would be an easier task, but then obviously Elias piled the pressure on me from the very start. He didn't give me an easy race, but I managed to stay consistent and just get the win at the end. Event champion by just 2 points. Obviously Shihab and Elias made it very hard for me to make that happen, but I'm very relieved now coming out of the weekend, and looking forward to the next round.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, really, we've reached the end of the race. So for me, Aaron Thompson, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.